What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, saints and inks, and welcome to Track Talk, a part of the Lactic Acid Network. I am your host, Dominique Smith, and guys, I just had to hop on here real quick. Not going to be a long episode by any means of the imagination, but I had to talk about the races that have been happening the past 2 days. First at the LA Grand Prix, second over there in Rabat. And so I'm not going to dwell on every performance. Don't have that kind of time, but there's a few performances that stood out to me, man. And there's so many. Really, I could go race by race because each race was incredible. The standard of track and field continues to elevate, continues to rise each meet with the athletes doing incredible things. So we'll talk a little bit about the throws. We'll talk some about the sprints as well. And so the first thing is first, I want to start with the LA Grand Prix, man. That was, I know everybody's going to oh man, Sha'Carri didn't run, Talou didn't run, they didn't run the finals, Leah Hobbs, didn't run. And the thing is, man, with the way track and field is set up, with the way the contract is set up, you can't risk certain things. And I know the fans are like, oh, everybody should race head to head. And I understand that. I'm with that. I do. I think they should race head to head, but in the culture that we're in, it's not like NFL, it's not like the NBA, it's not like these other sports. You have to be very careful because, if LeBron James or somebody gets hurt, right? Let's say he gets hurt and he's out 2 months or so. His contract's fine, even if he misses some of the playoffs. But with the incentives of these contracts and the bonuses, and not just the bonuses, what happens if you don't meet the requirements of that contract in the season? You get your money cut. So I do understand it from that point. Do I wish, Sha'Carri and, Talou raced and Hobbs and everything? Of course I do. That would have been amazing to see with how they ran that preliminary and how they have been running, over the seasons. But I think the race will come in due time, but I don't want to dwell on that. I do understand the frustration of the fans, but I do understand the athletes' frustrations as well. There's a few performances, man, that I want to talk about. Some that we all know, some that we don't. Got to start off with Ryan Krauser. He's the GOAT. Debate your mama. And the thing about it is he will never get the respect that it deserves because field events don't get the respect that it deserves. But Ryan Krauser just continues to elevate. And after the meet, after he broke the world record, y'all, he broke it again in May. He kind of touched on, they haven't even been, it's been hard training. So pretty much he's in this training phase, and there's certain things that he didn't even feel like he had the best meet. Like, it's so crazy to me. He can improve. Like, they're going to have to, at UCLA, they're going to have to make that shot put ring bigger because he was about to bust loose. Like, honestly, I think if it was a little bigger, then he probably could have thrown a little further. But appreciate greatness while you can. And just the fact that he was able to put together series, those first 3 throws were stupid. Like, they were incredible. And the fact that he was able to build upon that was truly something special. And man, he is such a joy to watch, a joy to talk to. He's great for the sport. Want to go from the throws, I want to go to the 400 hurdles. Y'all need to watch out for CJ Allen. Y'all need to watch out for CJ Allen. We talked about Ry Benjamin, and we talked about Carson, and hopefully Dos Santos can get back. CJ Allen has been quietly and yet loudly he has put together a great campaign on the track, just running incredible times, man. And I don't think that you can really start to talk about USA's team that's going to go to Budapest in the 400 hurdles. You cannot not have him in the conversation. He has to be in the conversation because it's not just he's running fast, he's consistent. He's shown that consistency, and his foot speed is starting to get a little faster. And so that obviously translates to the hurdles. You look at Ry Benjamin, he's one of the best hurdlers in the world, one of the best of all time, certainly the best in American history, second best of all time. But Ry is a serious 400-meter runner. And so I think CJ's certainly not at that level of 400-meter foot speed that Roy Benjamin is, but CJ Allen is developing confidence. And I do think he's getting to that point where it's like, okay, he makes that team, he makes the finals. Don't let him make the finals and you have a bad day. I think that he's starting to get to that point, kind of what we saw out of Trevor Bassett last year. Trevor Bassett, don't let Trevor Bassett make the finals. And if you have a bad day, there's no recovering because Trevor's right there to snatch up that medal. And I think the same could be said for Trevor as he's starting to develop the season. Obviously, first couple races haven't gone as well as he'd hoped, but now he's starting to pick it back up. But CJ Allen, man, he's somebody that definitely impressed me. Another thing that impressed me about LA, and like I said, we're not going over all the meets, don't even worry about it. I was very impressed with Jenna Prandini. Jenna Prandini put on a great performance. TT Terry, she had an incredible performance in the 200 meters as well. She had a new personal record, personal best. And then Jenna was able to close hard and she was able to run a respectable time in the 200. And I think that is great for her confidence wise going forward because I think the 200 meters for Team USA is going to be insane when it comes to who's going to make that team in Budapest. I think Gabby Thomas is going to return back to full form. Sha'Carri Richardson has shown that she has some chops in the 200 meters and that she's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And so Jenna, obviously, we know about her relay experience, but I also think that just what she's able to do in that event, the veteran experience that she has can go a long way. And I think that move to work with Coach Bobby Kersey is going to pay off dividends. Last one about the LA Grand Prix, then I want to move on to some of the action today. And so it's going to be sprints mainly, and we will have an episode where we get into the middle distance because y'all, there was some crazy middle distance times and some distance races in the mile and the steeple and all that. Keem Blake. Jamaica has a young crop of sprinters, man, that really, if they develop the way that they should, I don't want to say, and I'm not going to say, that they're going to beat Team USA sprinters. Because what Team USA is doing, we're going to get to them in a second, is something unreal with the depth and the talent that they have. But I'm telling you, dog, I'm telling y'all, those sprinters from Jamaica, Oblique Seville, in addition to Akeem Blake and his performance, 9:89, it felt like, I don't want to say he took Coleman out of the race. Coleman didn't have the greatest start like he did against Lyles the other week, but it was still, Coleman ran 9:91. And so granted, there's some things that he would like to improve on, but these young sprinters from Jamaica are for real. They are the real deal. And I'm excited to see what they put together. So those are just a few things that stood out to me in, the interest of keeping this a little short. Rabat. So I was at work, man, and I'm looking at my phone when I had a break. Obviously, work first, break second. And so I'm looking at it just like I am now, and I'm just amazed by some of these performances that I saw. And then I look again, and there's one more thing I have to say. One more thing. The women's 400. Paulino, listen, I'm telling you, and I think I said it before, she's going to be a problem. She's going to be a problem. Everybody I know, if Sid runs the 400, then yes, it belongs to Sid, and Sid has great talent. But listen, this girl, she is something serious, and so you better not sleep on her. 48.9, that's not playtime. That's real. So I'm excited to see that race, and we'll see what Brendan Wilson does and how the Team USA's 400 shapes up. But Rabat, I'm just going to stick with two performances in Rabat. I can go to 1,000 of them, but we want to stick with two. First of all, I have to say this. There were some inconsistencies in the officiating in Rabat, and track and field needs to get that together because you can't have certain calls in Eugene on the biggest stage and people getting DQ'd, but then there's inconsistencies unless it is the law of the land. If you're going to go, if you said, okay, we looked at what happened in Eugene and Rabat, we're going to make it clear, make it plain, we're going to fix these issues, then be consistent in that. So I'm curious to see what it's like because there were long holds, before the start of the race, obviously some questionable false starts and this, that, and the other. Obviously, there was whistling in the crowd, and that played a part. But I am curious to see what that will be like going forward. But Fred Curley, Shericka Jackson. Fred Curley's time, everybody looks at it and it's like, okay, well, we expected more. But Fred showed up. Omiyala said he's not losing a race. And I said in a previous video, in the previous track talk, the interesting thing about it is you have so many different styles. You have Bromell, who has a unique style. He is just as good of a starter as anybody with his talent. Omiyala, Sabine, just so many wonderful athletes in that race. What's the kid's name? Gosh, it fails me, and I'm going to look it up right now. Forgive me for that. The young man from Botswana. Tobago, sorry. Forgive me. My bad. So I thought he finished third. I thought there were many different styles in there that was going to make for great clashes. But Curley, I give him credit. He showed up, and it's not about the time in these races. It's about winning the race. And Curley may not have had the best Fred Curley race, but it was a great Fred Curley race because Fred knows how to win. And I think it goes a long way knowing how to win against elite competition. Because so many times you come out, you get all emotional, and the emotionalism of the moment kind of, reigns supreme. But when you come out and you win the race, and you can let the nerves play to your advantage, but also you're so secure and calm in yourself that it doesn't matter what anybody else says. You showed up, credit to everyone else for showing up, and guess what? They showed out. Shericka Jackson. The fact that she's running 21 right now, I know Sha'Carri was crazy fast, and I hope they match up in Budapest. Shericka Jackson, I have to say this. I think that world record goes this year. I think that 200-meter world record goes this year. It was a great race, but she's starting to, and that's the thing about track and field. I think we all want fast times every week, but we ignore that there's a process. Just like in life, gotta trust the process. Shericka Jackson is serious. Shericka Jackson is something serious, and I'm going to do a short video on the two of them in a second. But her race was very impressive. Her race was very impressive. The way she won, and against a really good field. I think that she's starting to listen. Shericka could mess around and win the 1 and the 2. So I'm really excited for her to see how she does this season, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I think she's going to be pushed. I think the Americans with Abby Steiner, Gabby Thomas, obviously, possibly, Sha'Carri, we'll see how that 200-meter team, shakes out. But I think that the competition is going to push her to excellence, and she's going to push them to excellence. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how 2 and 2 kind of match up to equate to 4, if you will, on her behalf. Honorable mention, Jasmine Camacho Quinn. Y'all, she is winning. She came out. She said it straight up. We don't duck smoke in the hurdles, and they sure don't. You looked at the men's hurdles, Devin Allen, Grant Holloway, all of those were in the race. So credit to her. Kudos to her. And she is having a phenomenal season. And I honestly think, listen, if she can keep that consistency and stay healthy, it's going to be something special in Budapest. So, listen, this has been it for Track Talk. Just wanted to come just to offer up a few performances that stood out to me. Didn't want to go too in detail. Please check out the results wherever you get results. It was a great weekend of track and field. And trust me, next week, Paris, or I'm not Paris, but it is lining up in Italy. We may see Jacobs and Curley line up. So far, nobody's pulled out of that race. So it should be a fun matchup within the men's 100 as well as the other races. Please be sure to follow us. Linktree has all the links, but I'll tell you anyway. Lactic Acid _podcast on TikTok, Lactic Acid _pod on Twitter. Lactic Acid Podcast on Instagram, and Lactic Acid with Dominique Smith on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. That way you're updated on all the episodes as they drop, as well as follow us on our main page, whether it's Apple or Google Podcast or Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Sign up. Please be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you like what you're hearing, leave a review because it helps grow the channel. It helps people find the channel. Appreciate you all. Love, peace, and chicken grease. We'll take